Okay, so I finished marking the paper drafting assignments, the third angle assignment just the other day. And while a lot of students had some really good work, really positive results, I think quite a few students didn't quite understand what was going on. So what I thought I'd do is I'd make a tutorial video showing how I would go about building each one of these shapes and the sort of reasoning that you need to apply in order to do the job correctly. So let's start with this one, and I'm going to try and take up just as much space as I've got over here so that I can keep the view roughly the same. What do we need first? We've got a line over here at 40 and in the top view talking about here. So the top view is going to have this part of the shape is 40 units long and this part of the shape down here is 50 units long. So I'm going to shrink that. My scale factor is going to be a half in this case because I don't want to take up all the space over here. So I need to go down 40 on 2, so 20 units, and instead of going across 50 I'm going to go across half that for 25. The first thing I'm going to do is just make a box that the shape is going to go inside. Okay, what features do we have in here? So if I'm looking down on the top of this shape, I might see I've got this inlay of 10 units before a line at 15 degrees. So if I was doing this on paper, I'd measure across my 10 units with whatever scale factor you're using, so in my case 5. And then I'd need to set my drawing board to 15 degrees, so I can set AutoCAD to 15 degrees like so. And I can come down to here. Erase my construction lines. So this is the start of the top part of the shape. Okay, what other features do we have? We've got this notch taken out of the front. So I'd come in 10, my scale factor is 5, and then I'm going to come up. So I need to know how far in this notch is. If I look at this dimension over here, I'm given that the overhang is 5 units. Now in this case overhang, which you might have guessed from looking at the bottom part of the shape and seeing that there's some distance that this middle of the shape is offset from both the top and the bottom. The overhang is talking about the that distance, the distance between the this sort of part, distance between this edge out here and this edge inside, and it goes like that the whole way around the shape. You can see this line is extending off somewhere into the distance behind the shape, but even then the line is carried on. It might not be entirely clear that this back line is expected to go off at a straight line. A few people had it coming straight across the back, but I believe the term overhang is important to understand here. We're talking about a distance that the line is overhanging the whole way around. So I know that this line, if I'm coming in 5 units and then I'm going to offlay this off, change this back to 30 degrees. I'm going to come in 5 units by my scale of 2.5, then across another. Now I've got 20 units here, so my scale is going to be 10, and then down. Now to create the offset the whole way around, I can use the offset command in AutoCAD. If you were doing this by hand, you'd have to measure 2.5 or whatever, 5 units off each one of these edges, and then you'd be able to use this as a line to start your hidden lines around here. But I'm doing this in AutoCAD, so I'm just going to use the offset command. Now there's a shortcut that I can use here, only in AutoCAD of course, not on paper. If I use a polyline instead of just a line, and I join this polyline to all of these lines around here, when I use the offset command and I set my distance to the distance to offset, I can do all of this in one hit. Drop that in like so. And then I can change this line to be a hidden line. So there, that's how we've got this hidden line around there. Might even change the line type scale so it's a bit easier. LTS is for line type scale. Now what other features might we see from this top view? I actually think that's about it. We've only got the outer part of the shape that we've already drawn. We've got the hidden line which is offset in here. We've got the notch taken out of the front, and this line down the bottom, this solid line, that stays there because when you look down from the top of the shape, you do actually see these lines underneath. You see that hard line along there. So with the top part of the shape done, I can come down and start drawing the front of my shape. My sigma dimension, I've got a student number which ends in a 4, so mine will be 36 minus 4, it's going to be 32. Again, with my scale factor, that means I'm only coming down 16. The height of this shape is the height of this view, sorry, is the height of the shape overall. The width of this view is always equal to the width of the line above. So I can, if I was drawing this on paper and I had construction lines, I'd mouse down from that corner, or I'd drag my construction lines down from that corner. In AutoCAD I can do it with the mouse. And I can use this construction line to get back there, close that off. Now each of these top and bottom sort of, don't know what you call those, the pieces of bread in this sandwich, for lack of a better term, they're both 8 units high. So I can offset these lines 4 units, find the center of the shape. What about this notch? If I drag this notch down, this would be in line with the top view and it would show up as a gap there. This inner part of the surface, this part in here, you can see there's no line out the front here, so I'd get rid of this line. But when you look through the shape to come out the back, you would actually see a hidden line in here. So I'm going to make that hidden, because this hidden line is looking straight through the shape, coming out to the line at the back. Now, what else do we have? In line with these hidden lines in here are talking about the middle part of the shape. So if I want to locate the middle, I can use those hidden lines, like so. And starting to locate that side, I can locate this side in the same way. And erasing the construction lines I used there. So this view is now almost complete. We've got a feature in line with every one of these edges. So in line with this edge, I've got that. In line with this edge, I've got this feature in here. In line with this edge, I've got these features. In line with this edge, these ones. So I can go around the whole way through and check that for every corner I've got on this view, I've got at least one line on my front view. But these back corners I haven't located yet. So I'm going to have something along here, and I'm also going to have something along this hidden line corner. So as for the corner at the top, that's a corner in the back of this top part of the shape. So I'll make that a hidden line. I'm able to copy that hidden line down here, because it's going to be not only in the top but the bottom. The top and bottom parts of this shape are the same, really. And then from the corner on here, this corner in there, that actually shows up as a hidden line in the center part of the shape. So it's in almost the same position, but not quite the same position as the hidden lines on the top and bottom of the shape. Okay, now what do we have next? If I drag this out over here, I can start to put in my last view. So this one's going to have the same height as the view next to it, and it's going to have the same depth as this object has in terms of its height, I guess. So I'm going to run this line up here and this one over here. I'm going to draw a line of some distance at an angle of 45 degrees. So now I can trace features not only from this shape across, but I can trace features from this shape across and then down. I've mentioned to a few people that this is almost the same. When you put a line up at 45 degrees, it's the same as having another one of these objects rotated up like so. When I've got another one of these up here, I can trace lines straight down from that to locate features. But when you're doing it on paper, you can't just copy a line like that. It's not so easy. This 45 degree line does the same job, and I'll show you how. So let's say I want to locate how far along this edge I need to go. I can run a line along here and then down, and this is now located that point. Get rid of my construction line, and now I've got a box that this last view is going to go inside. What other features do I have in line with the lines I've got over here on this shape? These horizontal lines, those are going to locate the tops of my shape. This line here, this corner on the hidden line, that's where the inside part of the shape goes. This corner over here is again where the inside part of the shape goes. And I've also got this corner over here. Oops, make sure your lines are straight. Those are the insides. I'll now get rid of some more of my construction lines, so I don't need that, I don't need that. This shape's almost done. The last points I need is this corner up here. If I trace this across, make sure I get into the correct intersection, and down. Get rid of that one, get rid of that one. And now that's the final view of that shape. Last thing that I'm missing, when you look through this corner of the shape, when you're looking sort of from this direction, can I draw an arrow? Kind of like you're looking along that arrow. It's not a very good arrow, I guess. You actually see a hidden line here for where that gap is. So you're seeing sort of the back part of this gap with a hidden line up here. Okay, that's that first shape. How might we start about going through this shape? How long have I been recording for as well? 11 minutes. Okay, I'll try and do these next ones a bit quicker. So we've got, let's see, we've got 3 units across the bottom and 2 units tall. So I'm going to scale this up to 10 times. So I've got 20 down and 30 across, 20 and close. Maybe I'll start with just boxes that all the views go in. So I can come across here. I can put the height of this shape is 1 plus 0.5, so 1.5 units. By my scale factor is going to be 15. In line with that. And over this last view, going to have a height of 1.5, same as this view over there. Oops, no, 15 rather. Same as that view over there. And 2 units wide. Okay, so all of my details are going to go inside these boxes. My tau is 2.1 plus my 7th digit, which is 1. So it's going to be 2.1 plus 0.1, or 2.2. So 22 units. So this piece on top, the feature on top, comes out 1.5 units. You can see I'm not trying to visualize the whole shape at once. I'm just going one line at a time. I've got the box that everything goes in, and then I can see measure across tau, and if I want to locate this line, I measure 1.5 units long, and for a construction line I'm just going to come the whole way back across the front there. What else do we have? These features are located at 0.75 units in from either end, so I might locate this like so, 7.5 forward, 7.5 down. The back of the shape has some width as well, so that's 1.5 minus 0.5 minus 0.5 if I want to locate this width in here. So that's going to be 0.5 units, and I'll just neaten up my construction lines from earlier. Would I see the top of this object that I'm drawing should be one solid face on here, so I shouldn't see any solid lines that get in the way of that. Get rid of that line and that line. I will have hidden lines under here. I'll come to them in a minute. What other features can we locate? I've got this little toe feature on here that comes out 1 unit, or comes across 1 unit and comes out 0.5. So I measure across 10 and then up my 0.5. Now I can get rid of these construction lines. So this object's starting to take shape. Probably a good idea to do all your solid lines first and then go into hidden lines. So what else do I have here? I've got these little notches taken out, which are at 0.25 units deep, 0.25 units wide, and they're in a region which is already 0.5 units across from that corner. So I can locate them by saying not 0.5, I'm scaling up by 10. 5 across, 2.5 in, 2.5 and 2.5 across again. And because this is AutoCAD, I'm just going to mirror this shape. Oops, make sure I mirror to the right point as well to save me time, but you would also have to draw it properly by hand. Now I've got all the solid lines that go on this view. I'd have hidden lines to show up this line along here. So that one that goes underneath the shape in this part here, that's going to show up as a hidden line in this top view. The reason being is that there's material in the way. The top part of this shape is material in the way, but this bottom face is one planar feature of the shape. It goes in one line. So make that hidden, not continuous, hidden, and there we go, hidden lines. Okay, so for the front of the shape, we've come up 0.5, 0.5, and 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5 again. So I'm going to go 5 and across. I'm just going to run these lines the whole way across. 5 and across. They wouldn't actually go the whole way across though. If I run this line down, they would end there. So these lines that are running across this top part of the shape is only as high as this 1 and 0.5 unit. Those lines I'm putting in there. If I trim off, I don't need this or this anymore. I can get rid of all of these lines. So my shape's going to go in here. The little toe part of the shape, that comes down like so. What other features do I have? I can run these features down. I can run this feature down. And I can run this down as a hidden line. Make that hidden, not continuous. Keep misclicking. Hidden like so, mirrored about there. Now lastly, if I'm looking in this direction, so towards this part of the shape, I would actually not see a line here. This line in the center shouldn't be there, because this inner part of the shape is solid. It's one solid face. So I would trim off that part. Now this is one more view done. Going over to the last view and remembering to draw this in correct third angle, I would have, I can do my 45 degree trick as well. So we always come with this trick where we're coming up at 45 degrees, make sure to go from the leftmost part of your of this view down here and the bottommost part of this view up here. So let's say up at 45 degrees. Now I can trace some features across and down. I'm just going to trace all of these lines in, and then I'll decide which ones I want after I've got them all in. Which ones are construction lines and which ones are staying. That one's already there. I need this line. I've got the one on front. Okay, so now I can also bring these lines across. I'm running construction lines through here. Now I can start to trim out the part of the shape that I want to keep. So what do I know most about this shape? The only part that sticks out right in front is the little toe. So I can start locating that toe by getting rid of all of these parts. Here's the toe coming forward. I know that if I'm looking through the shape, if I'm looking through the gap between this top part and this bottom part, that's going to be one straight line. I'm not going to see anything through there. There's no material in the way. And that gap goes all the way back to this dotted line, which was down here. So if I grab this line and this line, I can trim out all of that in the middle. Starting to look okay. What else do we know? We know that these lines at the top are going to be hidden lines to show up those features, but we're not going to have any such feature down the bottom, so I can get rid of those. Is this line going to be solid or hidden? Well, the way we've rotated into third angle, it's going to be a solid line. Am I going to have a line down here? No, I'm not. The reason being that if you look along the bottom part of the shape, because this is where we are, we're at the bottom now, the bottom part of the shape has no line there, and there wouldn't be one on the other edge either. The other edge is flat. Now, as for the end of this line, we would have a line there, but not a solid one. If you look, I'll make this hidden first. And if you look through this shape, so from this view here, looking through the shape, you'd come out the other end, and then you'd see this edge here. So that edge shows up as a hidden line. What else do we have? These two lines will be hidden, as will that one there. So I might just trim off the top of that. We also wouldn't have a line here. Again, looking from the edge of the shape, we're just going to see one big smooth portion there. There's no reason for a line horizontally, but we do have one vertically. Grab all of these, make them hidden, and there we have the third angle view of that shape as well. What's next? Okay, so this is these two and how you would go about figuring those out. Let's move on to this next one. Okay, so with this shape we've got a say I'm doing the top view first, so we've got a length of 80 and also a width of 80 and a length of lambda. I'll just copy this object across. Also, if you want to copy something from one area to another, it's not really, you can't really use the copy command. If I want to go in here, it drops it. I can, however, use Control-Shift-C. This is like Control-C on with other programs. Control-Shift-C lets me copy with a base point, and then when I come in here, I can Control-V and paste with a base point. Okay, so my lambda, my sixth digit of my student number is 4, so I'm going to have 20 plus 4, 24 units. Now 80's not going to be so long over here. Yeah, let's do this 1-to-1 scale. So my lambda is 24, coming across 80. Close. I've got this line along the top, so if I'm looking down from the top of this shape, I'm going to see this 10. So in 10 units, and that goes the whole way along. 40 units across, I've got this peak, and this is a symmetrical portion of the shape in the middle. So that peak is actually going to tell 40 is half of 80. So that symmetrical peak is going to appear from the top view as one line the whole way through. What else do we have? So we've got circular features, but I'm not going to worry about them just now. Let's go on to the other view and then locate the circles. So always this second view has the same width as the top view. What's the height? So the height is going to be 5 units, and then going along this line, plus 27 units. So we're going to have 32 units as the total height. Now from this peak, I've got a line which is at 17 degrees, and this note 3 places is telling me what the angle of these other planes are as well. So here's one at 17, this is another one at 17, and this is another one at, another one at 17 in there. So from this corner, coming down, and I might say, out some length like this, across I want 17 degrees. So I can get rid of that and that. So this is the top part of this shape. What else do I need to locate? So if I come up, so 5 in 2 places over here, this is saying 5 for that edge, and what else could possibly be 5 units up? That's going to be too much. This isn't any sort of dimension, it's definitely not that. So I'm going to say that it's over here. 5 here and 5 over here. Coming up 5 units, and up to 17 degrees, up 5 units, and up 100, yeah, 163 is correct. Alright, located that point, I can get rid of this. You should be able to tell that you've got the right degrees if both of these, this top line and this bottom line, are parallel, which they are in this case. What else can I locate? So I can locate this first circle, which is 10 units from the peak down, and it's located dead center. So if I come down 10 units, this is the center point of the circle. I might come across here, say, I don't know, 20 units, and I'm going to run this line out way over here. I'm going to make use of it in the other view. This will be my center line for this circle. And also in line with this view, I can come out the bottom somewhere and run this line straight up. It's going to be my center line going in this direction. So now I've located the center of that circle with my center lines. Always circles must have center lines. The diameter of this circle is 8 units, so I'm going to put in a circle which is 4 units in radius. 8 units in there. What about the other circle? So the other circle is 10 units down from the top, and 20 units in from the edge. So 20 across and 10 down. So this is the point at which that circle comes in. I might cheat a little bit, copy this center line up to there. It's the sort of thing you can do in AutoCAD, not so easy on paper. Make sure these lines run a bit further. Oops, so it's not too confusing. Got to make sure your center lines don't just end on the edge of a shape, because then it makes it look like hidden lines. If they end somewhere inside the shape or they end somewhere outside the shape, that's fine. It's just when they end exactly on an edge that it gets confusing. I'll run this one in line with that. Can I drag it across? Yes. Put that line up there, and that circle has a diameter of 16 units, which is a radius of 8. Now that I've located those two circles, I can easily locate their hidden lines. So hidden lines, this circle in the back is only in the top part of the shape, only in this 10 unit wide part of the shape up there. So that's the only place that these hidden lines are going to go. And in this front circle, that goes the whole way through the shape. Now, if a circle is drilled through something and you can't tell how deep it is, unless it actually specifies that if the drawing says the circle has a known depth, then you only put it into that known depth. But if the hole doesn't have a specified depth, you always assume it goes the whole way through the shape. So from this edge coming up, go through there, and this edge coming up, go through there. Make both of these hidden as well. Okay, and now the last view that we've got, this is a pretty straightforward one. So what did I have, 24 units was it? 20 plus 6, my 6th is 4, yep. 24 units across, same height as this, bring that across there. Now how wide was this part? This part of the shape is 10 units wide. I can come down right until this point, and across and close. So that point that I located there, that's this point on the shape. So you can see this L part of the shape is one big flat face, and that's exactly what I've represented. But it's not going to be as high as I've represented it. We're going to have a bend, or a corner, where this corner is. So I can trace this corner of the shape across, and we've got a line there. What else do we have? So in this top peak, coming across, and like so. So this is how the shape would appear from end on. I've got my center lines going through, so that's good. I might shorten those up a bit. What else do I need? So now I just need hidden lines on this view, and this drawing is done. So again, the bottom circle, whoops, it's not a very neat line. The bottom circle has hidden lines which go from the very front to the very end of the shape. And this top circle has hidden lines which only exist in the back part of the shape. Pause this video and answer this. Okay, where was I? Right, so I've got, this is a hidden line, these are hidden lines as well, and that's it. So for this drawing, this is how it should look in third angle. So I've got the right alignment, I've got hidden lines for all the holes. The hidden lines only go as far as the holes do through the shape. Yeah, it's come along quite well. Now this last one threw off a lot of people. One of the major miscomprehensions was what the shape looks like on the bottom under here. And what I was hoping to show was that with this curve in here, you're able to see that it's a cylinder the whole way underneath. A few people thought that it was an edge that ended here, and if that was the case, you would see a hard line down there. But with no hard line and with a smooth curve underneath, we know that this has to be a circle. Alright, so starting with the top view, what's the width of this shape? Well, if there's a circle or semicircle that runs around here, we know that the width of the shape is going to be the diameter of the circle. To work out what the length of the shape is, we need to add some of these dimensions. So we have 25 plus 20 is 45, and 45 is 90, and then 30 at the end is going to be 120. So 120 long and 60 wide, 120 and close. So things are going to start fitting in here. What's the first feature I have? 25 units off the back wall. I've got a line that runs the whole way down. That's that line there. Running along the center, the whole way through the center of this shape, going to have a center line. Right, so this center line goes the whole way through. That's going to detail where these features are, these circular features, but it's also going to say that this whole object is symmetrical about the center. So now to locate these circles, I know that I've got one circle which is right touching the end of this, so I could use a, let's say, tangent, tangent, tangent. No, I can't do it from there, can I? Need to use the ribbon. Well, I can define a circle as coming in 30 units to the center point and coming out there. So this is going to be that top part of the circle. I can trim off this part, but I do want two parts of the circle because this back part is going to be hidden. Actually, I'll come to that in a second. I'll do all the solid lines first. So I don't need these edges over here. I can start to erase those construction lines. So this is the front sort of arc on the front there. What else do we have? I've got another circle which is 45 units across from that. I'll put these center lines in so that we can see where those circles are located. Right, so we need another circle which is 45 units across. I might just offset this center line 45 units that way, and that circle has a radius of 10 units. This internal circle, the one that's sort of hollowed out the center, that has a radius of 20 units. And those are all the solid line features that we're going to see on the top of this shape. That's all of the, I've got one big flat section up here, just flat up there. I've got a flat section with these holes around it in the middle. There's all my solid lines. In terms of hidden lines, I've got one hidden line which is going to show up this internal part here. That's going to be 20 units from an edge and across. And similarly on this side, 20 units down and across. So this gap in the middle should be 20 units. Hidden lines. Okay, now I mentioned earlier that because this is a cylinder under here, you'd actually have a hidden line that follows the cylinder around the inside of the shape. So that would look something, oops, if I can mirror this correctly, something like this. So there's the hidden line that goes the whole way under that part of the shape. Might change the line type scale again, a bit easier to see. Alright, so that's the top. Now we've got the front of the shape. I'll just quickly get these major lines in. How high is the shape overall? How tall is it? So it's going to be 35 units down plus epsilon. So my epsilon is going to be 40 plus 2 times, now the fifth digit of my student number is 3, so I'm going to have 40 plus 6. 35 plus 46 is 81. And across 120, close. Now in line with this edge, coming down a height of 35 units. I've got that first part of the feature. This one will run the whole way across. I now don't need that. The height of this sort of strip in the middle, the table part of the shape, is only 20 units. So I can run another line which is say 20 units down from this one. Goes the whole way across the shape. I should double check that this is 46, yes, which it is. What else don't I need on this shape? So I don't need now this edge there. In line with this part of the circle, I'm going to have a line down here. I better stretch these center lines out a bit. Now I'm going to have a hard line, a solid line that runs along here up until the center of the circle. This is where this outside edge becomes tangent to the circle and starts to arc around. So I actually wouldn't have a line beyond that point. And this hard line here that shows up in the drawing, that's not actually going to be there if we draw it in third angle. AutoCAD puts a line there when this object is made out of solids, but we wouldn't really see one. The reason being, if you can imagine rubbing your finger over that edge, if it goes between a straight line that just comes in tangent with a circle and then curves around, you wouldn't feel any bumps or lumps or anything. There'd be nothing there to draw. So we're certainly not going to draw one. Now with hidden lines in this shape, we need, again, this notch in here is 20 units wide, and it is 35 minus 15, so 20 units high as well. So I'd have one hidden line for the bottom part of the shape, and one hidden line 20 units up from that. Okay, we've also got hidden lines in line with the edge of this circle, so this is going to show where the hole in the circle is here. And the center line tells us that this hole isn't square. So this hole up here, we've got two center lines. These are actually almost identical. Two hidden lines, two hidden lines. This one is representing a square feature, this one is representing a circular feature. The only way that we can tell that in this view is that this hole, this one here, has a center line and this one here does not. The lack of a center line means that this is a square hole taken out of there. The only other two hidden lines we need are the hidden lines for this circular hole, and they go the whole way through the shape. Okay, so that's now this view done. So we've got all the key features that we need to put on there. Lastly, coming across, we're going to have the front-on view. So it's going to be 60 units wide, 81 units down. Alright, so we're going to have a hard line for this front edge. That's going to be looking along this curve here. Will actually in the front view show up as a hard line. We're going to have something in here. That's going to be 20 units in from either end. We're locating that hole in the top there. So 20 units in and up. 20 units in and up. I'll erase my construction lines. Now, what are we going to have? We're also going to have a center line that goes the whole way through here, because we've got circular features as well as symmetry going through that part of the shape. This edge down the bottom here, so we wouldn't see it as a hard line from the front, but it would show up as a hidden line underneath, going in like so. And we'd also have hidden lines, one for this hole, which is going to be 20 units long, because the hole is only going through a 20 unit piece of material. So a hidden line there and a hidden line there, as well as hidden lines for this hole. So this big circular hole down there, and that's actually going to go the whole way through. I might just copy these across like that. Right, so now we've got hidden, and that's all that there is to this shape. So there's a few tricks that can throw you off. This hole at the back is hard to visualize. Knowing that this line has to stop at that edge is also hard to visualize. But if you think it out step by step, if you're really trying to be critical of every point in the drawing, you should have no difficulty in putting that together. Anyway, I hope this stuff's been helpful. I know it's a very long video and probably most of you won't get to the end of it, but if there is any questions or queries that you have about this assignment, hopefully that will have answered them. Alright, thanks for watching.